It's a wonderful business to be involved in. The industry as a whole is being held back by the fact it can't recruit the right calibre of people. I do think there need to be some changes to help those people enjoy their lives more. We almost pride ourselves in the fact that we're working hard all the time.
Oh, we are officially rock hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is something we've got to break. That mould has got to be broken. You know, we expect our staff to work quite long hours, and maybe that's something we need to look at as well. People's expectations have changed.
Welcome to Supplied, the podcast about how fresh food gets to us from the people who produce it, move it and cook it. I'm Rob Burton. I've spent over 45 years both growing and then supplying fruit and veg to some of Britain's top restaurants. Now I get the chance to talk to people behind the food we eat. From specialist growers, committed suppliers and Michelin-star kitchens, we'll hear how they got started, why they do what they do and the lessons they've learned along the way. So whether you work in fresh food or just care where yours comes from, you're in the right place. This podcast is made possible by Fresho, the order management platform that helps food suppliers run smoother, faster and smarter operations. Now, let's get into the episode. Okay, here we go. Today my guest is Andrew Thorogood from Thorogood Sons. It's a family business with its roots in farming that's been trading its fresh produce on the main London wholesale markets for over 100 years. He oversaw the change from being predominantly farmers and growers to now being predominantly a fresh produce wholesaler. It's the only fresh produce wholesale business with operations on the three main London markets of New Covent Garden, Western International and New Spitalfields. Andrew, welcome and thanks for taking the time out to come and have a chat.
Yeah.
So, where should we start? Start where you got started in the industry and maybe a bit of history of Thorogoods, because they've been going over 100 years. So what's the backstory?
Okay, well, the family was based originally in and around the outskirts of London, so in Hornchurch and Rainham in Essex.
Yeah.
And they were market gardeners, had been there since the late 19th century.
When you were born then, basically?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. We're going to have a few cracks like that during the day, are we? Yeah. The actual company, the name itself, started in 1922 when my great-grandfather formed a partnership with his two sons. Mm-hmm. And they started a business in the old Borough Market. Well, the Borough Market's still there, but when the Borough Market was a wholesale market. So they had that, then they had the farms back in Hornchurch, which were supplying local outlets as well, and also supplying some of the early supermarkets.
Do you know what sort of products were they growing?
It was nearly all hand harvested vegetables and salads. So a real cross section of product.
So proper market gardening.
It was real market. It was on quite a small scale. So I think the two original farms were about 150 acres each or something, and it was all market garden. They had a lot of local staff, local labour, families often that used to come and work all the time. Everything was hand planted and hand harvested and hand hoed, so there was a lot of labour involved. And they used to raise all their own plants, and this carried on in a fairly similar fashion for about 40 years. Yeah, the early 60s.
Always just in Borough Market at that point.
It's still in the Borough Market and still centred in Hornchurch. Yeah. Then the family grew and they bought farms in near Chelmsford, in Writtle, and one in Southminster, which is near Malden. Mm-hmm. Still nearly all hand harvested vegetables, and still just using the Borough Market, plus and they were extending that other outlets, so there were more other wholesalers, more local retailers, and the supermarkets were becoming more important. So we put in a packing line, and so we got involved in that. And then in the early 70s, all the tenants in the Borough Market were given the option to move into the new Covent Garden Market. Yeah. Which actually opened in, everybody says it's 72, but really we moved in 74. Yeah. And we took that option. So we moved out of the borough, which was still going at the time.
So at this point, you were involved?
I was quite young at the time, I like to think.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, yeah, that's right. I was there at the opening, but I wasn't very much involved in the farm or the market. So we moved to the New Covent Garden market, and that's about the time I went to university, just after we moved in.
Where did you go to uni?
I went to Y College, London University,
yeah.
which is now unfortunately shut. Well, not London University, but Y College.
Was it connected to the fact that you had actually been there?
Well, I think probably there's a lot of talk about that.
Factor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but we weren't going to mention that. And after I came back from university, I joined a farm that had been recently taken over as a tenancy, again in Chelmsford, but the other side of Chelmsford. And I took over the growing of the vegetables and potatoes on the farm. Mm-hmm. The rest of the farm was down to arable, so it was wheat and barley and sugar beet.
Combinable crops.
Easy crops. And then in the late 70s, it became obvious that the outlet in New Covent Garden wasn't doing particularly well. Not because there was a lack of trade, but because there was a lack of interest from the family. Yeah, but they weren't involved.
And at that point, were you still just New Covent Garden at this point?
At that point, we were just New Covent Garden.
Hadn't gone to Western or Spitalfields at that point.
So I took over eventually in the early 80s, and we ran it in New Covent Garden really quite successfully for a while, but less of the produce was being produced by our own farms. Yeah. We were moving away from the intensive production towards arable.
Yeah. Can I ask, why was that?
Well,
just down to economics?
Yeah, it was a combination of factors. If I'm honest, I think the generation of my family that I'm in was not as interested in the vegetable production. Yeah. And also there was this, really attractive arable farming, which at the time was very remunerative and took much less work, much less hassle.
And less risk.
And no need for local labour, much less staffing. Yeah. Although still quite a bit of staff, but much less. So less of the produce was from our own farms. And we were starting to collect similar types of growers from all around the country. Mm. And it was a great advantage that we had been growers, because we knew a lot of the really good producers,
And you just get empathy with it.
Exactly. Yeah. And they liked the fact that we were producers as well. So we expanded the Covent Garden site. We took on more people there, and it went very well. And at that point, I felt that we had the right sort of blueprint to reproduce this operation elsewhere. Yeah. So I had the opportunity of buying a site in Spitalfields Market when Spitalfields Market moved into its present position in Hackney.
So you weren't in the old Spitalfields. You went when it came to New Spitalfields.
Yeah, we moved in on the day it opened. Yeah, that's right. And that also went well. Yeah. So I thought that we had it. We sorted it out, and we then had the opportunity of a place in West International, which we got in 1993. It was a company that had gone bust, and I bought the lease from them. Mm-hmm. And that didn't go quite as well. And it was at that point I realised that the limitation of moving this blueprint all around the country, which I thought I'd say in the early 90s, I thought this could go anywhere.
Right, I realised, so you sort of had aspirations to, if you can make it work in the three London markets, then why not consider doing it in other places like Birmingham, Manchester, for instance? Yeah.
And I realised then that the limitation was people. Yeah. It's so difficult to get the right person to run that operation when you don't have oversight. Yeah. It was going to be difficult. I mean, the London markets are perfectly possible to manage and look over, but to go further would be very difficult and risky. At that point, a lot of cash was still involved, and it was always, a bit of a risk to rely on people. People it changes their personality, cash. They're like a different. It's like
So no, I was going to say, and also you mentioned about people. The working hours aren't exactly the most sociable in the world either, are they? So it makes the recruitment process. So you're looking for great people, and then you're looking for great people who are happy to work in the middle of the night, and that makes the recruitment process even that more challenging.
I mean, that's a point I was going to come on to later, because I think that's more the issue now. So at that point, back in the 90s, it was still possible to get the people. They may not have been perfect, but you could get. But nowadays, it's almost impossible. I mean, most of them want 3 days working at home. Well, that's difficult when you're in a.
Well, you can't do it face to face. I remember when I was involved in wholesale markets in Birmingham. I mean, if you were sort of recruiting staff, it was basically the only question you asked is, can you be in work for midnight? And if the answer was yes, so just out of interest, have you got a criminal record? And they went, yes. So fantastic, you can be managing director. And it was always been difficult, but you're right, more difficult now for sure.
It's at the moment, it's ruining the business. I think. I don't mean particularly my business, but generally, the industry as a whole is being held back by the fact it can't recruit the right calibre of people. I mean, I suppose the obvious alternative is to change the hours rather than do anything else. I don't think we're going to attract many better people in at unsocial hours. We already pay more than the general industry, about the industry standard, but so our sector standard, and that's not enough to attract people. People are, more worried about their home life and than they are about money sometimes, which is fair enough.
Interesting to say about the hours. I mean, certainly when I first went over to Rungis Market in Paris, probably 25 years ago, the standout thing to me is that it didn't open till 6 o'clock in the morning. It was much more civilised hours. And it was obvious then that there was a better quality of person in all areas that were working there, because they weren't actually having to get up in the middle of the night or work in the middle of the night. I'm not sure whether that's changed now. I think it is a little earlier there, but it's still not. I mean, I'm right in thinking that certainly in New Covent Garden, you're starting from 10 o'clock at night now.
Even earlier.
Yeah.
So it's a night job, which is.
And what's driven that change?
Well, the main issue is that the people that are buying in the market need to get their product either directly out to their customers or via a warehouse somewhere else, and then out to their customers. And they need to do that before the traffic becomes a problem.
Right.
So it's mainly driven by the access problems.
And I'm guessing that's also changed because the demographic of customers changed. I mean, 40, 50 years ago, you'd have had a lot of greengrocers buying from you, which they'd got to, if you like, get it back to the shop. But now it's much more, I guess, food service type businesses that have got to get it back into the warehouse to get it packed, to get it out again. Vans leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning, so the whole thing's had to start early. Is that about how it works?
That's it. So you've got an extra process, basically, which takes time. And we know it takes, quite a considerable amount of time to change that delivery into the product suitable for the restaurants and hotels.
Yeah.
But I also think that people's expectations have changed. So even the retailers you're talking about, I don't think they want to do what they used to do either. So whereas son might take over from father and assume he was doing the same hours and the same job that his father was doing, they thought, I'm not sure this is for me.
Just out of interest, did you get involved in the business because it was there, or was it the fact, I know it was there and you can't get away from that, but is it something you thought, this is something I really want to do? So when I left university and went back on the farm, I was there with my father and my brother, and we could all tell that probably it worked very well, but it wasn't for long term. And I'd worked up in the markets
with my father. I used to go up with him to the borough and absolutely loved it. I can remember my days at the borough now, and I was only 10 or 11 or something in the borough. And so I really got a buzz from it. I absolutely. So when my cousin said, "Look, I think this is, I've had enough of this, and I think we ought to shut it down," I said, "Well, really, I'd love to have a go." So I was really keen. So I was quite keen to get away from the farm. But I mean, I wouldn't have been desperate, but I was quite keen, but really keen to give it a go.
Yeah,
because I loved the whole atmosphere, and the trading situation was lovely. I like making a margin, and it's good.
It's a great environment. You're buying it at one price, you're selling it at the next price, and the bit that's left is the profit. And it's real trading. It's less so now, but certainly when I guess when you started, it was, if tomatoes were short, then the price went up, and if there's a glut of tomatoes, the price went down. Yeah. And the trick was trying to work out what was going to happen before it actually happened.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly
and if when you got it right, there's no finer feeling than when you get it right. But conversely, when you get it wrong, you sort of have sleepless nights because you got it wrong. So, with the benefit of 2020 hindsight, are you pleased that you made that decision and got involved doing what you wanted, what you thought you wanted to do then? Was that you're happy and comfortable that you made that call?
I've loved every minute of it, and I've never had a problem getting up in the morning. Always look forward to going to work.
Yeah.
But there is a downside, and that is the social life takes a bit of a hit, and family life is difficult.
Family life, definitely.
Really difficult.
Yeah.
So my wife has had to be long suffering, and I'm sure sometimes she's wished if you had a encounter with her, she'd probably tell you that she probably felt at times that she was a one-parent family. Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, and of course that could be true of a lot of people these days, working the unusual hours, if you will.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is. That's the industry. It's a bit like if you don't like the offside rule, don't play football.
Yeah. The only thing is that a lot of my friends from university went and worked in the city.
Yeah.
And first of all, they mostly ended up hating their jobs, making plenty of money, being very successful, but hating their jobs. And they left early in the morning and came home late at night.
Yeah.
So really, in the end, the difference is the weekend.
Yeah.
They had the weekend. Mine was badly messed up.
Yeah.
So I was working on Saturday mornings and tired and emotional on Sundays.
So for emotional, should we say grumpy?
Grumpy, I think, is a better term.
Yeah.
That was gonna,
I can relate to that. Yeah.
And I'm sure I didn't do my best parenting on a Sunday.
It's a good way of putting it. So, you've got the 3 wholesale businesses in the 3 different markets. Any other things, Yari? Because you've touched upon the food service side of it, so you're involved in that. So how did that come to pass?
Well, it actually came to pass really by accident. Although we looked at it, we saw that a lot of our customers were in food service, and they seem to be doing pretty well. Yeah. So always that, grass might be greener. And so we'd been looking at it for a while, but eventually we actually started it because one of our customers went bust.
Yeah.
And in lieu of the debt, we took over the business.
Okay. And when was that?
That was in 1996.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So nearly 30 years then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we ran it as part of Thorogoods for a while.
Yeah.
But then found that wasn't very popular, understandably, with our customers who
you were competing with your customers.
Competing with our own customers.
Yeah.
So we set up the business called Classic Fresh Foods.
Yeah.
In the late 90s. And we traded with that reasonably well. I don't think we ever smashed it with Classic Fresh Foods. And we traded there for about 15 years.
Yeah.
Making a profit, but not not really doing as well as I'd expected.
Yeah.
And then recently we purchased another food service company called Rushton's.
Yeah.
And we merged them together and kept the name Rushton's because we felt it had a better reputation, a more stable reputation.
And what we probably should make clear to our listeners is that I've been working with you, Classic Fresh Foods, and indeed Rushton's for the last 10 years, which is how we got to know each other. So I do have a very good understanding of the Rushton's business, less so on the Thorogood side, because that's not my area of involvement. But the name of Rushton's, it's Rushton's the Chef's Greengrocers. Yeah. To coin a phrase, it does what it says on the tin. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's I'm very pleased with the way that's gone. That's you know, although just recently, I'd say this year, all our businesses have seen what I think is probably true of the whole economy, a little dip in consumer confidence.
Yeah.
And we're at that end where consumer confidence is, you know, key, because it's a very easy thing for them to drop. I mean, it's easy not to go and spend £100 on a meal.
Thanks to Fresho for sponsoring this episode. Fresho provides order management and AI order entry software that fresh food suppliers love. From automating how to receive orders to picking, pricing, delivering, invoicing and payments, Fresho makes your business run better. And it's all backed with 24/7 support, so you get help when you really need it. To find out more, go to fresho.com. Like you think you've got the best job in the world. Well, actually, I've got the best job in the world because every day is an opportunity. No 2 days the same. You can't get bored. It's amazing. It's fantastic. And I was having a conversation recently with David Moore from Pied à Terre restaurant, he was talking about hospitality, you know, making it a career. People can make a great career in the fresh produce industry in all sorts of different ways. I have, if you can call it a career, I suppose, but it can be incredibly rewarding and fulfilling. Do you see it that way? Well, from your point of view, you do, but we're now looking at this from you know, people from the outside looking in. Is it something you would encourage people to get involved in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a wonderful business to be involved in, but I do think there need to be some changes to help those people enjoy their lives more. So I think it's the responsibility of the people that are involved in the business now to change it slightly to make it much more attractive for it to be, because we know that once we're in it, we love it. But what we need is to be able to attract people in the first place.
Correct. Yeah.
And that,
I'd agree.
You know, that might be need a tweak or two.
Yeah.
One thing we talked about was the timing, and possibly, you know, we expect our staff to work quite long hours, and maybe that's something we need to look at as well.
To be fair, we've changed it. I mean, historically, it was always a 6-day week.
Yeah.
Always. That was just standard. And a couple of years ago, a bit longer, we changed it to a 5-day week. We still operate 6 days, but we just, you know, rotor it accordingly.
Well, but that's exactly what I mean. That's the type of change that I think we need to make, and we need to continue to think about ways of making it more attractive. And I mean, it might make it better for us as well. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not just.
Well, yeah, there is that too. But if you can, I mean, I got a huge amount of satisfaction, if you like, when we went to a 5-day week, because actually we increased our costs. There's no question about it. However, we changed people's lives, and that was a price worth paying as a business, because we made people's worlds a better place. And that, to me, it's not always about the money. We've got to earn money, because every business needs to earn money, because if you're not churning out the money, it becomes nothing. It becomes bankrupt. Yeah. But sometimes it's worth spending the money in other places. You take the hit on the bottom line, but you're doing the right thing.
I think the only thing you have to be careful of is when you're making these changes, which always cost money, is that it becomes an industry standard. So we did it before it was an industry standard, but it will become that.
Which is pretty well now, I think.
And it impacts everybody. And some people may not have the structure within the business to be able to cope with those extra costs. That's the only thing that slightly concerns me about making all these changes.
So, other businesses. So, a few years ago, you got involved with mushrooms.
Yeah, we purchased a... So this is more about... Again, it's going back a little bit to what I said before, that I wanted to expand nationwide. Well, decided that wasn't a good idea, but we can use the blueprint within the markets we're in now. So we decided, we looked at quite a few businesses actually, but we eventually purchased a small mushroom business.
And that's a specialist mushroom
wholesaler. Yeah.
So covers cultivated mushrooms through to forage mushrooms.
That's right. Yeah, a whole range. And that's been very successful.
Yeah.
And it's quite a simple model, but it's very worthwhile.
Yeah.
And then we recently opened a small fermenting business producing kraut or sauerkraut and kimchi.
Yeah.
Because we thought it was time we tried to broaden the offering. Because we saw that the sort of base offering was having a little bit of a problem because of the consumer confidence, we thought we'd try and expand in a different direction.
Yeah.
Stick with food and try and concentrate on products that were considered healthy.
Yeah. And indeed value added as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And finished product.
Yeah.
So that's that's really pleased with that. It's gone very well.
So happy with where it's got to thus far.
Yeah. I mean, there's a long way to go, but there's a lot of marketing to be done, and it's a whole new sphere for me. Different type of marketing. So it's been really interesting.
I mean, you make a good point there when you say there's a long way to go. That's the beauty of I see of the industry we're in, is that I could keep doing this for the next 100 years, and I won't run out of things to learn, new things coming along, potential customers. It's fabulous. There's no end to it, and that, if it suits your mindset, it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the problems with not the business you're involved with, but in our base business, which was wholesaling, is that it hasn't adapted enough. So it hasn't taken on those new projects and new approaches, and that's why it's suffered over the years, where it's lost out. It hasn't moved with the times, even in premises terms.
Yeah.
Some of them look pretty seedy, and that's not the way people want to see things.
Yeah.
They don't. So I think it still needs to adapt.
Yeah. Okay. If there's one thing you could change about the industry, what would it be? Have we sort of covered that in terms of the hours? Is that the big standout, or is there anything else that and it might be something that's particularly personal to you or just for the greater good? Any thoughts on that?
No, it is to do with what we talked about earlier. It's basically make it a friendlier business for the individuals to work in. At the moment, it's quite high pressure, but quite a lot of businesses are high pressure. But it's a combination of that poor set of hours, that high pressure, that lack of rest time. It's just we need to make the job a little bit easier. We almost pride ourselves in the fact that we're working hard all the time.
Oh, we are officially rock hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is something we've got to break. That mould has got to be broken. Not especially for ourselves, but for everybody else. To make it a friendlier approach, a slightly more comfortable business to work in.
Yeah, if you remember back in 2012 when the London Olympics were on, delivery times got turned on the head because roads were closed. So we basically ended up doing it at a different time of day because we had to. And it actually worked rather well.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
It worked a treat. And the hours were more in line with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And then on day 15, after so the Olympics were 14 days, and on day 15 the world then just turned itself back round again. And perhaps what our listeners don't know, certainly on the food service side of it, is that last orders come in around midnight and the last vehicle has departed 5 hours later. It does turn round that quickly, and that's a time pressure. You have to get it all wrapped up. They have to be out by 5 a.m. to get to the customers to make the deliveries. 1, to avoid the traffic. 2, so the product's there, so when chefs walk in there, they can crack on with the mise en place. It would be great to change it. It did change for 2 weeks, but from our point of view, we think, we could do that all the time. But it's really how that would impact the customers.
Yeah,
whether it worked for them.
I've listened to people saying over the last 20 years or so, saying how wonderful it is that Amazon are able to deliver the next day. And I tell them that we've been delivering the next day for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's not that groundbreaking. We've done that before. Perhaps we could have moved that into other areas of work.
Yeah.
Perhaps we missed the opportunity. And
that's one for the outtakes.
Yeah.
So what are your plans over the next couple of years, your personal agenda?
Well, I'm still very ambitious to expand the business, and we may concentrate on new areas, as well as trying to improve our existing businesses. But we've looked around at other food products to concentrate on. We've seen, a whole range of different items. As I say, mainly in the foods that are considered gut healthy, basically.
Yeah.
Have to be very careful when you call them healthy foods, because
it's possibly less unhealthy than the other options.
The scientific proof about a lot of these foods is quite sketchy. Some of them it's good, but some is quite sketchy. But what I like to find is it's food that may well be healthy, but also are very good. So there are a lot of supposedly gut-healthy foods which are really appalling to eat, as far as I'm concerned, or drink.
So they're good for you, but taste awful.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly good for you, taste awful.
Yeah.
So you've got the worst of both worlds. So we're looking for products that are really nice, so that they would stand on their own if they weren't healthy. That they'd be popular, and so I continue to expand and improve, but I want to do less hours. Try and scale back a little bit.
Lower your golf handicap, perhaps.
Yeah, that would be nice. Somebody could tell me how to do that. It would be lovely. Yeah. We've got a very good team, well, including you, of course. We've got a very good team.
He does say all the nice things at all the right times. Right, yeah. Carry on.
We've got a good team in place, and I think we've got a strong enough team to develop the business much further.
Yeah,
they could control a lot more than they're controlling at the moment.
Yeah,
without my help as well.
Yeah,
and then I can sort of settle back and just enjoy watching it prosper, but keep in touch all the time. And I expect I'll be at my desk most days. Yeah, but maybe not in London quite as much as I was.
So what I'm interpreting from that is that you have no aspirations to retire.
None at all.
No, I'm with you on that.
Well, I was going to say, do you have any aspirations
no,
to retire?
I live my life as if I'm going to live forever.
Yeah.
I will only be wrong on one particular day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
But as a result of that, as a mindset, the horizon gets no further or no closer.
Yeah.
It just sits there. So that means every day is the same. Yeah. And that's great. Now, of course, one has to be aware that things come along and change. Could be a physical thing, health, whatever it might be. But as it stands today, that's how I do it, and it works beautifully for me. And I think you see the world in a similar way. Because when you do something this good, why do you want to do less of it? Yeah. That's the point. If it really fires you up. It's a privilege, huge privilege.
It's really difficult to get the same feeling from doing anything else, which is...
Yeah, it's a buzz.
It's a real buzz.
Yeah, for sure.
And people find it difficult to understand that. If they've never been involved, they find it very difficult to realise what on earth would you find interesting in that, getting up at 11 o'clock at night and talking to all those people and.
Yeah.
but it is. It's just amazing.
It is. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just for the benefit of our listeners, we've talked about wholesale markets, but maybe we should just explain a little bit what a wholesale market is. Obviously, we know, but people listening might know. So, what basically, in very simple terms, what is a wholesale market?
So, wholesale market certainly originally was a collection of businesses selling similar products grouped together in one central distribution point. So that made it very easy for product to be delivered. So if you had those...
Specifically fresh produce in terms of what we're talking about.
We're talking about fresh produce, certainly. If you had all those businesses spread around, it would be quite difficult for all the lorries and vans to go to the right places. And customers. And it gives the customers particularly an immediate choice. So if they had it delivered direct to their door, that's what they get.
Yeah.
Whereas they have the choice. If they go out to the wholesale market, they can choose between 8 different boxes of fennel if they want to, or 8 different boxes of asparagus, they have free choice, and they know they can judge what they want to suit their customers.
Yeah.
Whether that might be the quality issue or it might be the price point, it could be a whole collection of different factors. And all the wholesale markets have developed quite differently. So we're in 3 of the wholesale markets. They're all in London. One is New Covent Garden Market. That's become a specialist market for the catering sector.
For food service.
For food service.
Businesses like Rushton's.
Exactly. Yeah. So it specialises in providing the product that those businesses want.
Yeah.
And therefore that suit restaurants and hotels and whatever. And as a result of that, they've actually almost pushed away a lot of the ordinary retail customers.
Yeah.
Because the food service customers want to buy very early in the evening.
Yeah.
They tend to take all the good product very early.
Yes.
The retailers don't want to start till much later. And by
because
the time
they don't need to.
They don't.
No.
It's not because they don't need to. If they start too early and they've got to spend the rest of their day in the shop, perhaps, or setting it up, it makes too long a day.
Yeah.
And by the time they got there, all the good stuff had gone. So it's moved to being a real specialist food service market.
Yeah.
And will have a place for the future, definitely. Spitalfields Market is... So if we say that Covent Garden Market is probably 80% food service and 20% other.
Yeah.
If we go to Spitalfields Market, it's probably almost exactly the reverse. It's probably about maybe 30%. Maybe 30% food service, 70% retail.
Yeah.
And the retail is very much based on farm shops, which are a sector that have done very well.
Yeah.
And small supermarket type shops in London, mainly manned by immigrants from Turkey, India, Pakistan, the population who tend to use more vegetable products than
fresh vegetable products.
They're very keen on them.
So, it's very much a cultural thing, that is.
And then the third market is Western International, which is probably 40% food service and 60% retail.
Yeah.
Both Spitalfields and Western International are completely full at the moment.
In terms of tenants,
and doing very well. Covent Garden has, over the last 20 years, diminished considerably.
Yeah.
But is stable at the moment.
Yeah.
It seems to be about the right balance. But in the rest of the country, wholesale markets have faltered badly. So markets like Manchester and Birmingham have probably 20% of the tenants that they used to have.
Yeah.
and that's mainly because of as a result of the increase in the supermarkets over the past
and the decrease in your high street.
Yeah, as a result of the supermarkets.
Traditional greengrocer. Yeah.
I mean, you can understand people wanting to use supermarkets. They provide, very easy parking, and you can go and get everything there.
It's a one-stop shop.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you think the food industry is going to change much over the next 3 to 5 years, or do you think it's sort of where it is at this particular moment in time? When I say food industry, I mean specifically talking about the subject today, which is, if you like, the wholesale markets and indeed food service businesses.
Right. I think the biggest change is probably going to be reflect the big expansion in the catering particularly in London. The catering outlets have mushroomed over the past 20 years, probably to an unsustainable level. So I imagine there will be a little bit of a calming down, and we'll see a few less there, which will, of course, impact on both the food service sector and the wholesale sector. Do you think that? Do you think that's what's going to happen?
I mean, central London it's a different set of rules in central London to the rest of the country. There is, on a pro rata basis, there's always a lot of wealth and money swirling around in central London. So what happens there is not representative of what happens in the rest of the country. But yes, I would agree. And we've had an awful lot of 5-star hotels open in the last 18 months. So they're all competing against one another for the high spending, high net worth, high spending individuals. And there has to come a point where the supply exceeds the demand. When that'll come, I don't know. But for listeners who aren't sort of familiar with how London is, to do food service, it is the best place in the country. There is so many high quality, high spending, demanding and discerning customers. It's amazing, but you just don't get that anywhere else. You don't get it anywhere else in the country. It's just completely different. So whilst we're talking about London, it's not actually, we do need to consider actually it's only a very small part of the country, although a very big economic part of the country. But yes, there's got to be a correction. I think we could almost be in that period now. Certainly, certain customers are saying to me that the spend's a little softer than it was. People are spending, maybe having 2 courses instead of 3. I don't subscribe to that because I like 3 courses and preferably 2 desserts as one of them, but that's something else. But there's a definite lack of confidence that's there. And we need to be aware of that, and certainly in our sector, we need to be aware of it, because if not, it will bite us in the bum at some point. We've just got to keep a close eye, and in turn, we could be exposed to bad debt as well. Well, we will be exposed to bad debt. You always are, but you've got to be. I feel there's more chance at the moment of businesses failing, because we've had the increase in NI, increase in minimum wage. And, you just can't keep adding it onto the price you charge the customer, because the customer will then vote with their feet. And in restaurants, there's a limit to how much you're going to sell a fillet steak for, or indeed a Dover sole. And it's like, I'm not, people are going to go, I'm not going to spend that much money. It's not a question of affordability sometimes. It's a question of actually whether it represents value. But again, it's exciting times. Is it a problem for us, or is it an opportunity?
Absolutely. I mean,
that's the way I see it.
Basically, any change is an opportunity. So going either way, it presents opportunities for expansion and change. And if we're more adaptable than other people, then it'll be an advantage.
Yeah.
But I'm not certain it's all about money. I think it's more about just a general feeling. So if people are less confident, even if they have just as much money, if they only change their habits by 10%, 10% change in a restaurant's output is
huge,
massive.
Yeah.
It might be all their profit. So people who say, I've been up to London and everywhere's full. Well, perhaps they're up there on a Friday. Well, perhaps on a Tuesday, instead of having 100 people, they've got 50.
Yeah.
And, it just wipes away all their profit. That's the bit that I think will cause the problem.
Yeah,
in London and more so outside London.
Absolutely.
More so outside.
Absolutely, yeah.
But,
bit of a random question coming up. If you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Right, first of all, I'd agree it's a random question. And I'm wondering why that's of interest. But for me, it would be easy. I've been asked before.
Yeah.
And it would definitely be Churchill.
Okay.
Absolutely, definitely. I have a fascination for the man anyway. Yeah. And I think it would be so interesting to find out if he was the person that we think he is.
Yeah.
Because he's such a contradiction. I mean, all through his career, he was a contradiction. And even, I found it fascinating, the difference between him during the war and then when he had the majority after the war.
Yeah.
And the way he approached things then, it was like a different guy.
Yeah.
And wonderful sense of humour. But again, how much of that was reported and not true? I'd love to find out. I think he'd be just a fascinating person to talk to.
Well, thank you so much for coming along, for providing such intellectual banter and witty repartee, if nothing else. But in all seriousness, I think I'm really grateful because you've put across a great illustration of the side of the industry that you're involved with, and I hope that our listeners can are a little wiser after this, listening to it, than when we started, because I do think it's almost a bit of an unknown story from what you're talking about. So once again, thanks for coming, and
Thank you very much, Rob. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Supplied. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow Supplied Podcast on Instagram, where we'd love to get your questions and suggestions for future guests. See you next time.